Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Tom Rowland Podcast. Today, we're brought to you by Starbright. Starbright is the maker of all kinds of incredible cleaning products to keep your boat, your RV, your gear in top shape. Definitely check out Starbright, starbright.com. You can go there and check out all of their different products. We have a really great guest today. Ryan Crouser, you may have heard of him if you watched the Olympics lately. He is the three-time gold medalist in the shot put. Three-time. He's the first person ever to win the shot put 3 times in the Olympics, and he is a gold medalist. I wanted to talk to Ryan mostly because I know he likes to fish. He's got a great YouTube channel where he puts outdoor content on there. He's a fisherman. He's a hunter. He's got an awesome dog that he travels with all over the place. It trains with him. It's really well trained, and he hunts with that dog too. Very cool. Ryan also has a lot of knowledge about training. He's been training for quite some time since he went to school at the University of Texas, went to his first Olympics. 4 years later, he wins his second Olympics. 4 years later, he wins his third Olympics, and he is now training for his fourth Olympics, something they make history. So I wanted to talk to him about training, about nutrition, about fishing, and how fishing has helped him to win some of these gold medals. So that's what we have on tap for today. Ryan Crouser, 3-time Olympic gold medalist. Here we go.
I'm Ryan Crouser, 3-time Olympic gold medalist and world record holder in the shot put, and this is the Tom Rowland Podcast.
Ryan, what's going on, man? How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Yeah, just hanging out at the house today, knocking out some media stuff and getting ready to train.
Man, I tell you what, I watched you win the Olympics this year, and I watched you win the Olympics previously, and it's been so long that I don't even know if I watched you win the previous to that Olympics. But 3-time gold medalist, man, that is amazing. That is
Thank you.
Amazing. So, how did you like? I saw that you're 6'7", 320 pounds. How do you end up doing the shot put? Obviously that's the sport that you're the best at. I watched your videos this morning. You are incredibly flexible. You're obviously incredibly strong, but it seems like lots of other sports would have drawn you in as a big, powerful athlete. How did you end up with a shot put?
Yeah, so I kind of found my path sort of on my own. Growing up, I played all sports, and so it was soccer, football, basketball, baseball. I started track. It was actually one of the later sports I started, the last one I started. And it was just because in middle school, it was the first sport I could go out for and represent my middle school. And at that age, in 6th grade, putting on your middle school uniform was a big deal, and wearing your school colors. And so I went out for track. A, to be with my friends, but B, to represent my school. And it was 100 meters, high jump, long jump, shot put, discus, 4x1. So I was doing everything. And I didn't focus exclusively on track until college when I got recruited to the University of Texas to throw shot put and discus. And so that was kind of how I ended up focusing on it. But in the years between middle school and college, I was football. I was actually a quarterback through my freshman year.
Dang.
I was the tall, skinny kid, so I was playing basketball as well. And I found success in the throwing events, and it resonated with me on a personal level just because I felt like it was where I could judge myself well, if that makes sense. That feeling of getting a personal best, like you put in the work, you train hard, and you have a personal best. It's so cut and dry in track and field.
Right.
You can see I'm the best I've ever been when you have that PR, and that's such a special feeling that it drew me in at a young age and continues to motivate me to this day.
So what was it like to go for your first Olympics? Were you still in college when you went to your first Olympics?
So I had just graduated, and it's a funny story because I finished my undergrad in 2015, and for me, I've never been a fan of graduations. They've always felt a little bit frivolous. And so I skipped my undergrad graduation, and my mom was very upset. And she told me, like, you have to go. We're coming down to Austin from Oregon to watch. I was like, I'm not going to go. You can go watch me not walk across the stage. Because at that point, I was already working on my master's, and it was like, I'll graduate this next year. And so I graduated in May of 2016 with my master's. And I actually skipped my graduation to go to my first professional track and field meet. And so my mom was mad because she never got to see me graduate college, undergrad, or master's. And so 2016, I graduated in May with my master's, made the Olympic team 6 weeks later, and was a bit of an underdog going into the Olympic trials, and then was really an underdog going into the Olympics, but had a fantastic meet. Preparation was going perfect, graduating from university, and then that opportunity to be a true professional athlete, train every day, not have to be going to class for 5 or 6 hours. It made all the difference. And so, yeah, I felt like a year's worth of progress in 6 weeks.
Wow.
And kind of had that surprise victory at the Olympics in 2016.
Wow. That's awesome, man. And then from then to now, you've been a professional athlete, shot put and discus, and with the world championships and the Olympics being your primary competitions that you're preparing for all the time. Is that what?
Yeah.
That right?
So I've been full-time professional track and field athlete since 2016. And so I would say, like, our day to day, our bread and butter are multiple meets, both in the US, but predominantly in Europe, because Europe is where track is a much more popular sport. And so I'll have anywhere from 10 to 20 competitions over in Europe, maybe 4 or 5 in the US. And then they kind of revolve around that major championship, whether it's the Olympics every 4 years or world championships every 2 years.
Wow, man, 3 times. That's amazing. So one of the things that I was most interested in having you, obviously, is you like to fish too, and you have some really good videos on your YouTube channel. If you're not watching, or if you're more interested in Ryan, you should check out, what is your YouTube channel that you have?
Yeah, it's just Ryan Crouser.
So Ryan Crouser on YouTube. I found him by doing Ryan Crouser fishing, and it popped up your a couple of videos right away. One where you're training, and I train every day too, and I loved your training. Like you're a big, powerful athlete that trains. I don't know, like not what I expected. Like you're doing a tremendous amount of mobility and flexibility, which I'm sure is incredibly important in the shot put. But I don't know. Do you train differently? Do you think you train differently than some other powerful athletes?
Yeah, so there's a balancing act that goes into throwing, because you have to be big and strong. That's kind of the basis of it, is throwing a 16-pound ball as far as you can. But there's a level of mobility and being able to use that strength that goes into it as well. So you got to be flexible. You just have to be, in general, a good athlete. You got to be able to rotate. You got to be able to jump. You got to be able to sprint. So all of those play a factor. And so the rule of thumb that I throw out there, if you want to be a good shot putter, as in make the US, trial or US trials or US champs. So like top 16, top 12 in the US, it's the 3, 4, 5, 6. So 300-pound snatch, 400-pound clean, 500-pound bench, and 600-pound squat. And that'll get you competitive. Like, you'll be in there. There's a lot of guys that are stronger than that, and there's some guys that are a lot stronger than that.
So where do you sit? Level. Where do you sit with those lifts?
So I'm like a 352 snatch, 425 power clean, bench right at 550, and squat. My best is 725 back squat.
Dang. That's serious, man. That is that. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less from an Olympic athlete, and certainly a 3-time gold medalist. But that's serious power, man. I mean, that's serious power. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So, I noticed that you also I mean, I train with my dog every day. Like, you got Coda. What is Coda? Yeah. Black Lab.
Yep, she's a 2-year-old black lab.
Beautiful dog. You got her trained well too. Do you hunt with her?
Yeah, so she's that's what she's made to do. So she's wired to hunt, and for whatever reason we've also had that crossover to fishing.
Yeah.
So it sometimes drives me crazy, but it is she's a good boat partner because she has channeled 100% of that drive from bird hunting into fishing as well. So yeah, she watches every cast. She's
I know.
at your side.
I saw her.
If you swing and miss on a hook set, she'll let you know.
Well, I had my dog Gus. He was a pointing lab, and boy, like with the lures, he wanted to bite the lures, and so I had to be real careful with him because he like if you were getting ready to make a cast and he saw that, he would try to bite it, and so I had to be real careful with fishing with him, but. I do everything with the dogs. Now I got Moose, which is Gus's nephew, I guess. Gus's brother had him. So we loved Gus so much, and it was in this same bloodline. Like, okay, if we're going to get another dog, we might as well, get one like we like. And so Moose trains with me every day and goes kind of everywhere. Does Coda go everywhere with you?
Yeah, so she loves going anywhere. If you're walking towards if she hears the keys come off the counter, she's right by you and going wherever. And so she's training with me at the house every day, but also if I'm running errands or whatever, she's loving just going anywhere.
Is that training facility that you had in your bass fishing video? Is that your house?
Yeah, so that's just
nice.
I'm on 5 acres. So it got a shop with weight room. And then on the backside of it, have a shot put ring with the landing area.
Wow. That's awesome. I mean, that looks like you got everything in there that you need. You've set it up. Is that what you prefer, to train alone or to train in your own place rather than go into a facility or training with other people?
Yeah. So I like training with other people. So I actually have a couple athletes that come to my house and train. So I feel like it's kind of the best of both worlds. Because you've got that intensity that training with other people brings in and that competitiveness. But also I can not have to worry about the schedule, conflicts, all of that. And I feel like I've overcorrected to an extent, but it definitely got gun shy during the pandemic because I was just locked as a post-collegiate athlete. You're so reliant on the university. So the university shut down and I was just training in my college coach's 2-car garage for the Olympics, almost a year. And so I was like, I need to be independent. I need to be accountable. Like I need to insulate myself from the events going on at the university. And so I've kind of worked to be independent in that sense.
That's cool. I like having I've got everything at my house and people come into my garage in the morning. My wife is a saint. She deals with it every morning, but super early, right? I had to go super early because I've got 3 kids. And so when they were growing up, that was my time, like super early in the morning. Otherwise it goes away. But as an Olympic athlete, you've got, so it's sponsorship, you're generally your income. Right now?
So you have 2 main sources of income. One is sponsorship, and then the other one is meet and appearance fees, prize money. So it's a different sport and it's very fragmented because we don't have that league aspect like you have for the NFL or NBA.
Right.
So you've got each meet is a separate negotiation. So I have an agent that manages that for the most part. So I go to him with my schedule and say, these are the meets I want to do. I need you to reach out, negotiate with each of these. And so you kind of make that work. But so you have the 2 main pieces are the sponsorship, but then a significant portion is you're competing to make a living.
Right on. Well, a few Olympic gold medals don't hurt anything. Did I see that you had something going on with Coda?
Yeah. So she's the breadwinner at this point.
Really?
But no, we partner with Nulo, and it's been a fantastic partnership. And so for me as an athlete, the focus has been so long on nutrition. And I've known that has been a key for my performance. And so when we got Coda, before I even partnered with Nulo, that was something that I was focused on. Was I want to make sure there's no one that cares about you more than your dog. And so I want to give some of that back to her and make sure that she is getting the best nutrition possible. And so as this Nulo partnership came about, it's been fantastic because it was already something I believed in. And so Nulo's Fuel Incredible campaign, working with athletes and supporting their dogs through proper nutrition, has been absolutely perfect for us. And it's been great for Coda. I've noticed a difference. Just feeding her the highest quality food has helped her so much, because as a gun dog, as a bird dog, she's made to go.
Right.
And so when you properly fuel that, she goes, but kind of in the proper direction. When she's been on different food, she's been a little bit erratic and kind of moody. And so it's been amazing how much tweaking and changing her food has channeled both her drive, but also just her focus.
How has your diet changed since you won your first Olympic medal to now? I mean, you're talking about tweaking it and changing it, and we're learning more and more about nutrition all the time as it applies to, fueling athletes. But have you stuck with the same type of diet, or have you changed your diet?
No, mine is constantly evolving. I think, you'll see a change for two reasons. In part, you just hopefully get a little smarter. The science gets better. You figure out what works better for athletes and people in general, but also for you as an individual. Right. Everybody's a little bit different. And then for me at 24, 25, compared to in my early 30s, my diet changes. A big thing is just caloric intake. Metabolism has slowed down. My goals are a little bit different.
How many calories do you think you were eating in the beginning? How many calories do you think you were eating when you're 24, 25, and how many calories do you think you're eating today?
Yeah, so I was right around 6,000 when I was 24, 25, and I'm still around 5,000, especially right now, because I'm training with the goal of gaining weight right now, and I'm having longer sessions with it being the off season. It's a GPP phase, so general preparation phase. So get my cardio up to a respectable extent, but mostly just working on my work capacity. And so that burns a lot of calories in and of itself. Yeah. And so, but it'll vary. Once I get in season, I'll probably drop down to 4,400.
Wow. Do you have an optimum weight that you try to compete at?
Yeah, that's a great question. This year was the first year I've ever felt like I was a little heavy. I've always been underweight. And so this year I got to 340 and cut down to 333, 335. And I liked where I was at. But I think this year, if I can be at that 330, but a little bit leaner, that's kind of ideal for me. So I felt like I overshot and then I cut more than I needed to. So if I can be 335 and cut to 330, I think is probably my ideal weight.
So when you say you've always been underweight, is that underweight from what you consider where you should be, or underweight compared to the competition?
Both. So
because you're a big guy.
I've always been the tall, skinny kid.
You're the tall, skinny kid at 6'7", 335. What do these other guys look like?
But so I mean, Joe Kovacs, he's 6 foot on a good day. But he's heavier than I am. He's 335, 340 at 6 foot. And so for me, I'm one of the tallest shoppers out there. A lot of the guys are 6'1", 6'2", maybe 6'3", and they're the same weight as I am. Right. So me being 4 inches, 5 inches taller.
You think that's an advantage?
The same weight.
The tall. Do you think being taller is an advantage for you?
It can be if you use it properly. So you have longer levers, but the ring is only 7 feet.
Right.
So it can be a disadvantage because I can't sprint across that ring. It's much more confining for me. The shorter guys can be more aggressive. They can be more dynamic. So if I can line everything up right, I can use it to my advantage. But if I make a mistake, it costs me much more.
So is that why you came up with your technique, the Crouser slide? That I'm watching that on the Olympics, and they're talking about that particular thing. You have like a little extra step in there, and is that because of your height, or did you bring that from another sport, or is it just something that you kind of figured you could throw it a little bit further like that?
Yeah. So the goal is always to throw farther. But for me, a large portion of adding in that step was to make the ring bigger in the sense that it gives me more room to work. And that lateral step gets things moving in the proper direction to then make the ring feel bigger. So if I can take that center of gravity out over my left foot, the ring feels bigger than if it's right between my feet and it's pulling me towards the toe board. And so that was a large portion of how I came up with it, is sitting there and how do I throw farther is the ultimate goal, but also is there anything I can do to make the ring feel bigger? And I've got a bunch of space over to my right side that I'm not using. So if I can shift over, use a little bit more of that space, it's free. It's over there. I might as well try and incorporate that. And kind of just took a shot in the dark, and it actually worked out pretty well.
So did you have the Crouser slide on all three of your Olympic gold medals, or did you have it somewhere along the line of your career?
Yeah. So I came up with it in 2023, and I guess I started using it in the 2023 season. I came up with it in December of 2022. It was like a Friday night, late-ish, throwing out in the barn in December. And so it was cold. And I was like, let's just mess around. This is not going particularly well. Just tired, beat up in December in the cold. Let's see if we can find something that works. And so it ended up clicking there in December, and switched to that and ended up breaking the world record there in May with the new technique.
Wow. Super cool. It doesn't seem like a sport that has a tremendous amount of innovation outside of the, when throwers started to spin like a discus, like the way you throw the discus. I mean, I remember when I'm a little older than you, and it would be hard for you to believe that one time I threw the shot put, but it was, in fourth grade, they look for the strongest guy. I was a wrestler, and they're like, you look like you could pick this thing up and just throw it. But we just kind of went forward and threw it. And then later it seemed like that's when, the real throwers would start doing the spin, and you could throw it so much further. And obviously they're big and strong, but that was an innovation. It doesn't seem like, it seems like the basic throwing style has stayed pretty similar, right? Until you come along and put this extra step in.
Yeah. So I've tweaked it to an extent. It's actually interesting. It's a rabbit hole you can go way down, is the evolution of the shot put technique. And it actually gets into some like geopolitical,
goodness,
because you had the East German and the European model but they're state sponsored athletes. So they only compete at the majors. That's what they're evaluated on. And so the glide thrived under that. The Americans couldn't compete with that. So we adopted the spin very early, which led to bigger throws, but it underperformed at the major championships. But the Americans are self-funded, so you got to compete a lot more. And so it's interesting how the sport political support systems influence the technique in shot put for all the way back from 1950. And you're starting to see a change in the last 10, 15 years with the Europeans and getting away from the glide technique and adopting the spin. And so the technique has had a number of factors. The biggest one is the political support system of sport among a lot of the countries that are federally funded sport programs.
How is that?
So it's a rabbit hole you can go down.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And all sports have interesting history like that. One of the things that I noticed on your channel when I was watching is that you were using fishing kind of as it's kind of your training. You were talking about how it kind of gives you an opportunity to get away from training and clear your head. How is fishing? How did you even start fishing?
Yeah, so I've been fishing as long as I can remember. My dad has pictures of me in a backpack, and he's got a smallmouth bass that he's holding up.
Nice.
And I'm like reaching out for it at 6 or 8 months old. And so I got pictures of me trying to pick up a limited trout, but I'm just learning how to walk. And so it was a challenge, you can tell.
So where'd you grow up?
No, I've been fishing my whole life.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Oregon.
All right.
And so it was really good smallmouth fishing, but salmon and steelhead were king for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that you go right to the smallmouth in Oregon. I've never fished for smallmouth in Oregon, but I know that, salmon, steelhead, like trout fishing, that's what I would think of there. But you have good smallmouth fishing, huh?
Yeah, there's some really, really good smallmouth fishing in the Pacific Northwest.
And then Idaho, I know, has really good impoundment smallmouth fishing. But I don't know about the rivers and creeks. I've never found smallmouth in too many rivers. All my trout fishing has been trout fishing. All my fishing in Idaho has been trout fishing, I should say. But I started out as a guide on the South Fork of the Snake River, which is kind of over there by Jackson, and did that for a long time. And it was that's an amazing river. But
yeah, I actually did a shot put competition in Pocatello, Idaho.
Oh yeah.
That was in the end of January.
Oh.
And so I competed and then went down to Sportsman's Warehouse and I bought some warm clothes because I think it was we were single digit. And I went out and I did some fly fishing there on the Snake just outside of Pocatello.
Oh, nice.
That's a good section.
That's the South Fork that goes down that way. And then there's also the Snake proper that runs right through the Teton National Park. And then they'll meet up, and the Snake proper that turns into the Henry's Fork, and then there's the South Fork, and then they meet up and make the Snake. Again, the Snake proper, but great fishing there. Do you like fly fishing or spin fishing, or what do you like best?
Yeah, that's a tough one for me to call. If I'm fishing, I'm happy. I do a lot of fly tying. At this point, I've pretty much only fished flies that I've tied. I think I've tied high 6,000.
Nice.
I tie for about an hour a day, almost every day. And so a lot of fly fishing, but I love bass fishing. Anytime I'm on the water, I'm happy.
So do you ever do any saltwater fishing?
I love saltwater fishing as well. Unfortunately, in Arkansas, we're a ways from any saltwater.
Airplanes fly all over the place, man. You should come down.
Yeah,
we should do a show. We got a show called Saltwater Experience, and we film in the Florida Keys all the time.
So I went to University of Texas, and so when I was not competing, every weekend I was going down to the Texas coast in the summer and kayak fishing. I was doing offshore kayak fishing, going out to the rigs.
Oh, wow.
1 to 3 miles. Yeah. Kings, cobia, caught a couple mahi out of the kayak. So that was a blast.
So you're paddling out there a mile and a half?
Yeah. I think the farthest I went was 9. But the closest rigs is Bob Hall rig is 1.3 miles.
So did your coach know that you're paddling out 9 miles in a kayak when you're preparing for the Olympics?
This was once I was all in 2016, I couldn't do that anymore. So that was a lot of like 2013, 2014, 2015 summers.
Yeah. We're going to need to get you a boat with an engine. And if I was your coach and I think that you're going to win the Olympics again, I'm thinking we're going to need to get you a little bit bigger boat.
There's something special though about hooking into a fish that's pulling you at 3-4 miles an hour.
There is. What do you think the biggest fish you caught out of the kayak was?
Oh shoot. I got a couple of really nice cobia, some nice kings. Sharks are going to be the biggest things. I think I had a black tip that would have been pushing 70 inches. Saw a couple big tiger sharks out at the rigs, and they were big tigers, and I didn't want anything to do with those. They're 8-9 footers, and you're in 12-foot kayak.
Yes. So are you keeping the cobia when you catch them in the kayak?
Yeah.
Because, dude,
So
those things go crazy in a boat. I can't imagine what they do in the kayak. I've never kept a cobia on a kayak, but what's the technique there? You just you're a big guy. You're a big guy. You're just going to strangle it when you get it in there.
Yeah, you just got to tire them out and then get a good grip on the mouth and just hold them, and you're kind of wrestling them. Yeah, they're in your lap.
I'm sure in the kayak.
Get a good grip on their mouth, and you're just kind of hugging them until they, and then until you get them subdued.
So in that video where you're bass fishing and training, where was that? What state was that?
Oh shoot, it depends on which one. Probably.
Well, there was one that you were training. Water. Yeah, you got you caught a lot of nice fish on that. And one of them was on top water, at least one. And before that, you were doing some training, and it was mostly a mobility day where you were really doing more stretching than strength work. Yeah, so I was over in Oklahoma. That was at Lake Uchee on that day, and I have a love-hate relationship with that lake. I've got some really good fish out of there. A lot of fish over 5-6 pounds, but then for every great day you have at Uchee, you get 1 or 2 dings. Well, I mean, you caught some really good fish there. I was thinking, I was wondering where that was, because I had read that you were from the Northwest, like Oregon, and then, but then I thought you said Northwest Arkansas, and I'm looking at the vegetation there, and it's not really, it's kind of neither. And I'm like, I wonder where this is, because that looked really good. So were you training in Oklahoma for a while? Yeah. So just to clarify, I'm from the Pacific Northwest, but now living in Northwest Arkansas. Okay. And so we're right in the corner. So I'm like 30 minutes to Oklahoma. Right on. And then you went to Texas in Austin. Yep. You're having a great year in football right now. Yeah. I was at great year. I was at the Georgia game. And so that was not the one to go to, but were you on the sidelines? Time for the Longhorns. Were you on the sidelines? They have you down there? I was, yeah. So they recognized the Olympians at the first quarter. Oh, right. And then I stayed down there for the rest of the game. Well, Texas, Georgia football game. That's the real deal. I just, my daughter goes to Auburn, and she's a senior. So we've been trying to go to a lot more games, and we went to the Auburn, Kentucky game, and it was at the Kentucky Stadium, and it's a nice stadium, but they don't do it like they do in Alabama or Texas as far as football. I mean, big stadiums, really loud music, big jumbotrons. Like, I don't know. It's just a different presentation. But Georgia, Texas, that was a great game. That'd be a great game. Yeah, it's the whole experience has changed so much just in the last 10 years. It had been a while since I went to a Texas game, and just the lights, the reader board, but then the drone show, and they've got fireworks on the drone. Wow. It was unbelievable. Those drone shows are incredible. I mean, I saw the one, there was like a social media video, and it was the new world record. I don't know. They had 10,000 plus drones, and the things that they can do with that. I mean, if I was in the fireworks business, I would be kind of worried a little bit, because I think the drone shows are going to take over. What they can do with those things is amazing. Yeah. And I've never seen it at Texas. They had the drones up in a Longhorn, and then all of a sudden they had fireworks going off of the drone. Yeah. It's incredible. So if you're in the fireworks business, you might have to be working with the drones. I think so. What is an international track meet? You said that it's much bigger sport in Europe. What kind of do they put on a show, or how many will they fill a stadium? Like, what does it look like when you go to the biggest event? Not the Olympics. We've all seen the Olympics on there, but like a big track meet. What you would consider a big track meet? What kind of a show do they put on? What kind of do they fill the stadium? Yeah. So it's a much bigger event, and so it's a lot of corporate type of. If guys get off work, they go with a corporate group or whatever it might be, but they'll get 30, 40, 50,000 people out for an event, and a lot of it is
when an American thinks of a track meet, they're like, oh, it's a Saturday and it starts at 9 a.m. and it gets done at dark. But it's much more viewer friendly in Europe. So it's 2.5 hours, fast run time. Something's going constantly. You've got races going much faster. And then you've got 2 key field events going. So there's always something to watch, much more viewer friendly. And we get good turnouts, but then it's also just, you've got mascots, you've got fireworks. It's a much more for the fan experience.
Gotcha. So, what do you have on your bucket list as far as fishing goes? Are there a couple places you'd like to go, or you have a species that you want to catch?
So for me, tarpon on the fly,
nice.
is definitely up at the top.
That's what we do. That's what I did for so long as a guide in Key West. Tarpon on the fly. So you want to catch a tarpon on the fly? What else you want to catch? A permit?
Permit would be up there. I'd say that at the top. Next to a tarpon will be a GT.
Yes.
So Christmas Island, North Shore, Australia, any of that section of the world.
Have you been to any of those places yet? Have you been any of those places yet where there are GTs?
I haven't. The farthest I've been saltwater wise is Mexico.
Okay.
So we went to Mag Bay.
Nice. That's amazing fishery right now. Bit.
And then I've been down to the Amazon as well. So I did the Amazon for peacock bass on the fly.
Did you catch anything other than the peacocks when you were down there?
We got some arowana, which was a lot of fun.
Those are crazy.
We got some red-tailed. I got a pretty good sized red-tailed cat on a fly.
Nice. That's a crazy looking fish, and people are catching those. What about Mag Bay? How was your trip there?
It was fun, but we didn't get out.
Oh,
so we were there at the same time that the hurricane was hitting Cabo last fall.
Oh man.
And so we had a good time in the mangroves, got a lot of snook, a lot of couple different groupers, like broomtail, and then, snapper, blanking on the snapper.
Sounds like you must have gotten, at least if you could get broomtail grouper, you might have gotten out at least kind of near shore.
No, we were just in the mangroves,
really?
But the mangroves there are deep.
Okay.
You're like 20-foot mangroves.
Oh, that's cool. We don't have the broomtail grouper like that, but we do catch the Goliath grouper around the mangroves in the Keys. That's fun.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's like,
and then we did
bass fishing, but they're big and they're babies, they're like baby Goliath groupers, but they could be 50 pounds. Which is a tiny, as far as the species goes, but fun because we use kind of bass tackle.
Yeah, I've seen the videos of those Goliaths and they can pull.
Yeah. So what is your time frame? Like when you're training all the time, are you able to take fishing trips? Do you have off time that you could go like to Australia, or what is the track situation in Australia? Maybe you could compete there and then go.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going down there because it's their summer is our winter.
Right.
So could write it off and say I'm going down there to get some summer training in. But in all honesty, the fantastic thing about being a professional athlete is you can only train 6 hours a day and have to be productive. And so you have to be accountable the rest of the day, but you can sneak away for a fishing trip in the afternoon. And so I get to fish a lot, but it's a lot of half day trips. And so I'm going around and there's a lot of stuff within an hour. So being in Northwest Arkansas is fantastic for that because we have some really good trout fishing, good smallmouth, good bass, a fantastic striper fishery. And so I get to fish a lot, but I have to put off those big trips because I only take off about 2 weeks in the fall. And so it's tough during the only 2 weeks that I'm off of the year to convince friends and family that, hey, I'm going to Australia.
Right.
But I'm just waiting. When I'm retired, I've got a whole list of trips that I'm going to be doing.
What does that look like for you, retirement? Are you thinking about maybe trying one more Olympics, or what's your plan?
Yeah. So I'm all in through LA 2028 and then I'll be done. So the goal will be for me is retire after my 4th Olympics, with it being on American soil,
Nice.
that's kind of the dream come true.
Yeah. Has anyone won 4 gold medals in the shot put?
No, they have not. I was the first to win 3.
No one of any nationality has won 3. You were the first
No one in the shot put, men's or women's. No one had ever won 3.
That's amazing. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about, and I know we're about to run out of time here, but the mindset of repeating, like certainly in fishing tournaments, I've won fishing tournaments. I've always had a hard time with winning them twice or winning them 3 times. Like you've won the most prestigious athletic event 3 times. What's the mindset for repeating? How do you stay so hungry that you can compete at that level for this amount of time?
Yeah, I think a lot of it for me is treating it just as a standalone. Like you learn a lot from the process and being kind of veteran in the sport. You definitely use that to your advantage. But when you sit down and think about why am I doing this or what is the goal of this outcome, it needs to be irrelevant to what you've done in the past. This is a standalone Olympics, World Championships, US Championships. I want to go in and I want to win. But what has motivated me in track and field is trying to be the best that I can be. I can go out there. I control what I do. I can't control what the other guys do. And so if I go in focusing on myself and that same thing that motivated me when I was in middle school of wanting to be the best I can be, if I can go out there and throw a personal best, I won no matter what. And so that mentality is what has made me be successful year over year, Olympics over Olympics, is I'm trying to be the best that I can be. If I go out there and I prepare in that way and I walk out on the field knowing I did everything I could to be the best I can be on this day, you're not really going to lose, because even if someone beats you, there's nothing better that you could have done. And so that level of confidence, that level of preparation, you're going to have a hard time losing if you actually checked all those boxes and you 100% said, I did everything I could to be the best I could be on this day.
Wow. Well, you've obviously done it. Do you like the process of preparing and training for a big event, or do you like the day of competition better?
Tough question. I like them both. I think you have to love the process, but to be honest, nothing compares to that feeling of preparing for 6, 8, 12 months, and you walk out on the field and you just got that blast of adrenaline and you feel like you can do anything. There's something about preparing for a long period of time, physically, but especially mentally, that when you walk out there and you know you got it on that day. That makes all of the preparation worth it. And like I said, you have to love the preparation. If you're struggling through motivating yourself every day, and you're not going to get to that level, so you have to find that passion in the day to day. But nothing compares to that feeling of walking out in the field and feeling like you're Superman on the day of.
Wow. So right now you're eating 5,000 calories, some days 6,000 calories. A lot of times when you see a professional athlete, like an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, some big, powerful athlete, when they retire, they don't want to eat as much and they start losing weight and they look like a completely different person, right? Do you foresee that with you? Like do you have a hard time eating 5,000 calories? Or, I mean, like sometimes, so for some people that are trying to gain weight, that's a real problem.
Oh, for sure.
Like the big strong men and stuff like that. You watch them and they're like, man, I just don't want to eat that. I don't want to eat that. And when they retire, they don't. And then they lose a lot of weight. Is it hard for you? Sure. You think so?
Oh yeah. The thing I look forward to the most when the season ends is getting away from regimented eating. And so if you're feeling hungry in my training program, you're not doing it right, because you never want to eat when you're hungry, because that means your body is catabolic and you're eating muscle. You're not recovering optimally. You're not gaining muscle optimally. So you never eat when you're hungry, which is, if people know, you eat till you're full and then you have to finish what's on your plate. that's pretty miserable.
Yes.
And so for me, when I do a cheat meal once a week, and my cheat meal is just skipping a meal. So that,
okay.
For me, that's the thing I hate the most about training is the regimented eating.
So regimented eating, walk me through just quickly, like what that looks like on a day, regimented eating.
Yeah. So a lot of it boils down to is what I eat when to still be able to train for 5 to 6 hours.
Sure.
And so it's easy to get 5,000, 6,000 calories. It's hard to get 5,000 calories that's not going to make you feel bad.
Right.
It's not going to take you out for the next 3 or 4 hours. And so like this morning was, what would it be? Half a pound of ground deer and 6 eggs, 2 pieces of toast. So that was the breakfast. And then I'll do some yogurt in between about now, as soon as we get off this, and then I'll get ready to train. Yogurt and a protein shake. And then lunch will be 1 pound of lean ground, either beef or deer, and 12 ounces of rice. And then dinner is kind of whatever the fiance is making today. I think it's her dinner, and she doesn't want to eat like me, and nobody in their sane mind would want to just be like, oh yeah, it's a pound of beef and a pound of rice for dinner. And so she knows kind of what my caloric needs are for the day. But once or twice a week, I still cook, and I have to make sure I get away from the regimented eating of a pound of beef and a pound of rice.
Wow. And so there's no snack before bed?
I do micellar casein. So just protein in whole milk, and micellar casein is the longest breakdown. It's like a 4-hour breakdown. So your body's recovering, has available protein while you're sleeping. So for me, micellar casein before bed is a big part of recovery and maximizing my muscle building.
Yeah. And so you're at a body weight of 335. So how many grams of protein do you think you're eating a day?
Right around 350.
350. Wow. That's amazing. That's a lot of protein, man. But you're getting a lot of it from wild sources, like the deer that you've shot.
Yeah. So actually just last night finished up processing, I think we had 80 pounds of venison. So that'll get me through a couple months.
Nice. And is that because the season is going right now and you just went?
Yeah. So November's kind of, as deer hunters know, it's prime time right now. So yeah, out there, archery season. I'm mostly all archery on public land here in Arkansas.
Really?
So,
nice.
Yeah.
So you're a fly fish, you're a 6'7", 335 pound bow hunter, fly fisherman, fly tire, shot putter, 3-time gold medalist. Man, what else do you do? Do you play a musical instrument?
No, I've got no musical talent.
I mean, dude, those are different things. Like the fly tying, the fly fishing. I mean, I don't know. I saw a lot of clients, big, powerful guys that like to fly fish. But I mean, I don't know. That just seems like it would be hard to tie flies at 320 pounds. I mean, some of the flies are tiny, right?
Yeah, it's ironic. So my fiance is in med school. She's an M4. And during her surgery rotation, they were working on their stitches, all of that stuff. And she's always been blown away because at my hand dexterity and from fly tying, I guess at a young age, it's come naturally to me. I have very steady hands, and she's always been like, you should be a surgeon. You're way better at this than I am. But yeah, you get used to tying 22 midges.
You could tie, you're tying 22 midges?
Yeah, down to a 22 blooming olive dry. Yeah.
Dang. And are you fishing those on the White River? Is that where you're going?
Yeah. So the White River is a lot of midge fishing.
Yeah.
Like any tail race like that, you've got steady water temperatures, and you'll have that one midge that just thrives.
Yeah.
And so if nothing's working on the White, you can almost bank on a midge being your go-to. But to be honest, I'm more of a streamer guy. I'm tying big flies, and I'm throwing meat on heavy weighted lines. That's my go-to, or mousing are my favorite.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Well, man, I know you got a busy schedule, and I want to thank you for coming by. We should do a show. We should do something.
I'd love to.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm going to have to catch you on one of these two weeks that you have, but we could get you down to the Keys for a couple of days.
Yeah. Every month I take 3 consecutive days off at the end of a 4-week training block. So I might have to sneak down there for a Saturday, Sunday.
All right. Well, let's stay in touch, man. I'll make sure you get my contact information. We'll stay in touch.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to go down to the Keys.
Very cool. All right. Well, thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it. And congratulations on your 3rd Olympic gold medal. I'm sure you're going to go and get another one and be the 4th. It'll be so awesome.
Thank you.
We'll
We'll
have to wait for another 4 years to watch you win it, but I'm sure there'll be something else. We'll watch you go fishing. All right. If you guys want to follow Ryan, check him out on YouTube. He's got a YouTube channel. He's doing some fishing, doing some training. You can see him throw the shot put and train, but he's got fishing on there, fishing and hunting and all kinds of stuff. All right. Thanks so much, Ryan. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right. Cool, man. See ya.